Think about the hardest problem you've ever tried to work on. A problem in your family, a problem in your neighborhood, a problem in your wider community. Was it hunger, homelessness, foster care, chronic health issues, poverty? Reflect on that issue that has captured your time and attention and care. Did you ever feel like you were playing an elaborate game of whack-a-mole as you tried to work on those issues and found those issues to be so elusive and slippery? I've only begun to realize quickly in the effort that they're connected to a whole cluster of tangled issues. And that so often explains why, even if we're effective in one area, needles don't change in other areas. Now, there's a name for these kinds of problems. We call them wicked problems. Wicked problems are wicked in at least two senses. First, they're wicked because they are tangled. They're tangled up messes of interconnected and complex issues. And they're also stubborn. They resist easy attempts to address them. But they're also wicked in the more conventional sense of the word, in that they're morally repugnant. These tangled issues are issues that grind the life out of people. They cause generational harm, and they ravage entire communities. So let's start with a bit of definition. Wicked problems as a term actually comes from a slightly unlikely source, given the term wicked. It came from a couple of urban planners back in the 1970s. They were struggling with different kinds of challenges that were quite frustrating, and they needed to give a name to them. The first is what they called tame problems, sometimes called technical problems. Now, these are problems that have clear definitions. They have very straightforward and objective answers to those challenges, and there are people with the knowledge and expertise that can solve them. But on the other hand, there are other kinds of problems that defy simple definition, and they have no fixed or objective standard that we can all appeal to and say that's what it means to fix them. And it certainly means that there's no single expert or single organization that has all the knowledge that is necessary for implementing those fixes. So wicked problems, in contrast to tame problems, actually make up the majority of the challenges that we deal with when we're dealing with human beings, and when we're dealing with neighborhoods, and when we're dealing with communities. For most of us, however well-intended we are, the big issue in dealing with these kinds of problems is that we misdiagnose them all the time, because most of us have been trained to treat every problem like a tame problem. So I want to argue that by adopting a wicked problems lens, it can radically transform how we understand these challenges, and therefore radically shift the ways in which we go about solving them. I want to offer 3 commitments that I think are essential to taking on this wicked problem lens. The first, focus on the web, not the issue. Every wicked issue, every wicked problem is embedded in a wider web of issues, of interconnected, that tangle of issues we talked about earlier. And if we focus on the web, what it does is it begins to show us where there are actual leverage points in that web, that if we concentrate our efforts in those areas, can actually move the whole web, not just a discrete issue. Second, center lived experience. It is through the people who actually are closest to the pain, who are the people closest to the full truth, the full fabric of truth that surrounds that pain. By listening closely and carefully, by being proximate to those people that we're trying to serve, we get keen insights into the full realities that are shaping any one issue that they may be dealing with. The third commitment is build a fellowship. It turns out that there is no one person, no one group, no one organization, no one funder that can solve a wicked problem. By definition, as we've already discussed, wicked problems are these complicated webs, which means that in order to solve any particular problem, you have to have a group of people who represent the whole web in the room together. That means having cross-sector groups, not just government, not just the private sector, not just philanthropy, not just faith communities, but all together, working together in a way that is sharing each insight on each angle and perspective on the different parts of that web of interconnection. It is only by gathering that group in the room. So if it's homelessness, it's getting the formerly unhoused person in the room with the council member, in the room with the nurse, in the room with the pastor, in the room with the funder. in the room with the land developer, that we're going to find the kinds of collective or comprehensive solutions that are necessary for driving those changes across the whole web. And there is no silver bullet, there is no quick fix to wicked problems, which means that you have to have a cross-sector group that is committed to leaning into this work together over long time horizons. There has to be an understanding that this is patient work. And here's the good news that helps us from being discouraged. There are many instances in history where people have taken wicked problems on and succeeded. I think of one of the great classic examples of this in the Clapham sect. Some of you may know the story of William Wilberforce and a whole community of people that, again, transcended government, philanthropy, faith leaders, nonprofit leaders, who were all organized and committed to the abolition of the slave trade in the British Empire. And we can go down through history to the civil rights movement as another classic example of where we saw the same outpouring of different people across not only different sectors, but across racial lines and ethnic lines to pursue the common good together. So don't be discouraged. This is work that has been done in the past. It can be done now. And the beginning of this is in this room today. So here's my invitation. Map that wicked problem. Map the whole web around that wicked problem. Find somebody with lived experience and go listen to them. And finally, start building your fellowship now. Don't wait till later to do it, and don't try to do this on your own. Building a fellowship of those cross-sector unlikely partnerships very often are going to be the key to your success. This is our great opportunity today. Thank you.